Welcome back, everybody. We're at Park Inn by Radisson, and today we're talking to individuals who are putting Kenya on the map and doing it incredibly. My next guest is a vision. She's a visionary too. She is Muthoni, drama queen. She's a recording artist, founder and creative director of what I think to be the most iconic festivals in Kenya. I'd even say East Africa. Most iconic. She, I think, started this and got it going, and next thing you know, there's a couple more festivals happening. She started Blankets and Wine and Africa Nouveau. Muthoni.
Hi.
Hi. Do you just look so cool? I feel like I should have had sunglasses and my hair done. You're just like a cool person. Were you always a cool person?
I wasn't always a cool person. I think I was always interesting. I've always enjoyed my own ideas and my own company and thinking about things and creating and producing things. But then I guess you, like everybody, you go through that phase like in teenagehood where you're not quite fitting in. I didn't quite fit in with whatever was, sort of conventionally cool or acceptable. I wasn't really interested in those ideas, so I didn't really fit in. So I guess I had a bunch of years there trying to figure out, who am I? Should I reduce myself? How do I convince people? And I guess then you spend a lot of energy trying to fix something that isn't even broken, right?
Right.
So I'm grateful for music, because when I started to write my music and to defend my ideas and to really, to really manifest the thoughts, that gave me my safe place, I guess, and I could come into myself more. Then I stopped negotiating with myself about who I am. So, and this is the result.
Look, like even just the way you express yourself is art. It's like, are we taking notes? Someone,
No,
can you just like write that
on.
down? Create like that's a
Dude.
song in itself. Take me back to the start of your music career. I know at some point you were studying economics.
Yeah, I studied economics for like 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks, ladies
and
and gentlemen.
Yeah, and then it wasn't on. I realized, to be honest, I was in class to prove to myself that I was smart, and to have something. When you say it to adults, when I said, I'm studying economics and political science, they were like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
But I didn't care about that. I didn't want to make economic policy. I'm interested in a lot of things. I could learn basically anything, and just didn't feel right. So then, perfectly timed, the university lecturers went on strike. The police threw us out of Nairobi University. So the same day, I had applied for a job at the Africa Youth Parliament. So then I got this internship, and I didn't need to go back to school. 6 months later, I joined USIU, and then I studied political philosophy and international relations, and I really, really loved that experience.
Okay.
I was quite happy.
Okay.
So it was around when I joined USIU that I also decided to do something about my music career. A friend and I were singing from our high school days, and then we decided to put together a variety show like our own concert. We'd sing our own music and sing some songs from other people. We convinced all our friends who played instruments to be our band.
Yeah.
And all our friends who are dancing to be like our dancers and singers. It was a really good show.
Yeah.
And then we had it for 3 days at our old school at St. Mary's. And I think the process of putting together that show and composing and teaching a band and then, the school gave us a venue.
Yeah.
But then we didn't know that you had to do everything else, right? Like you have to wash the venue, you have to find the tissue for the toilets, you have to so the logistics of an event, and also composition and presentation of a showcase. I think that experience is what flipped it for me, and I was like, yeah, I really do want to have a career in music, and I really do want to be able to produce my own experiences.
Yeah, and festivals, I guess.
Correct.
Also.
So I think everything we've ever done, I learned in that in that weekend.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like amplifying and getting smarter and getting, but doing it for real.
Right.
And also it just built a trust in myself. We had a full house every night for 3 nights. I mean, of course, all our friends had been threatened to come.
Like you better come.
And you better bring a friend.
Yeah. And if you're not there, you better be on stage dancing.
But even to watch them, people who knew us, being wowed by us, I guess there was a thing for there is something really here. Then now we had money to go recording, right? And we were so psyched. But the thing we found when we walked around is a lot of the producers then just said we weren't Kenyan enough. and they wouldn't record us.
What does that mean?
That means that we didn't speak enough Sheng, and our songs were not about partying, and we were not necessarily doing kapuka. So they said that Kenyans are not interested in listening to Kenyans who sound like us. And I think that's really when something shifted for me. Being excluded from this idea of Kenya, this Kenyan narrative, that Kenya is only for some people and not for some other people, and that there are people who decide what Kenya is for, the gatekeepers. That was my first true experience with that. And because then they wouldn't let us record, we could only exist live.
Okay.
And then so doing live, at some point was like, okay, this tiny little gig that we are doing, it's not really growing. It had like, you know, the venue and the timing, it couldn't work. It had kind of achieved its maximum potential.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were having problems with the venue.
Yeah.
So then the question was, do you quit music? Do you find a new venue?
Yeah.
Or do you just find like a whole new approach to this?
Right.
And that's how Blankets and Wine was born.
And that's how it started.
Yeah.
So then now you're thrust into this new space where you're not just an artist.
Yeah.
You are now a businesswoman.
Yeah.
You're a mogul. You're starting.
I don't know
things
about a mogul.
No. I mean, MDQ. You're being very humble right now, and it's okay. You can do that. We met about a week ago at a friend's house, and we were talking about we were talking about other things. And one of the things you said that struck me was that I don't think I'm identified as this like sexual symbol. I think the kind of energy I put out is boss.
Yeah.
And that's how you walk up to me. And I was like, God damn, I really need to what is the energy that I'm putting out? And it better be like boss queen. I mean, where does that come from? This like fierceness, this like very centered, grounded, understanding of who you are and the bossness. Yeah.
So a lot of that came from fighting for myself for a lot of years, right? So at the beginning, I had so many no's. I mean, I'm not special. All artists, anybody who's starting something is going to hear 10 no's for 1 year.
Yeah.
So, but I had to fight so hard at home. I had to fight with my mom for her to accept this decision of me wanting to pursue a music career. And you can understand, I guess, as a parent, when there's no template, there's nobody that she knew who has ever succeeded. What does this actually mean? The norms of the society, you're a woman, this music, you come from like a Catholic background, like the whole thing. So I really had to fight for my existence at home. And then when I would go out into the spaces where I should be, you know, invited in the studio heads, and we really did walk this Nairobi. There weren't as many studios as now, granted, but we really did walk around. And just hearing this story over and over, you're not Kenyan enough, you need to dumb this down, you need to do something that Kenyans will understand. This repeated narrative, and I just didn't buy it. I just don't believe that, you know, Kenyans are this sack of potatoes that everybody makes us out to be, you know, that we only like linear ideas, or Kenyans only like these 5 things. These same people who then told you, no, one day eventually come to something that you have, or one day you cut a check for an artist in their label, and then it's like, okay, so maybe we had misunderstood this thing.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine how good that must have felt.
So good.
So you are obviously, for you, it's not just about music, it's not just about art, it's not just about a festival. There seems to be something bigger. There needs to be a bigger conversation. Even in your music, there's like conscious conversation.
Absolutely.
Even the way you dress and look, it's almost like you're not going to put me in a box.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So why is that important to you, to have the conscious conversations even in your art?
I'd say that even as a kid, I was always interested in ideas, right? I was the kid who would be hanging around the adults and listening to them talking about at the break of multi-party politics, and just like listening to the dynamic that is Kenya. I was always really curious about big ideas. Why is the sky blue? Explain to me, tell me things. And then I think maybe in my late teens, around early 20s, I found Neo Soul, right? So I found Jules Scott and Common and Erykah Badu, and I found all these people who are so cool, but would say real things in their music about their society, about their feelings, their experiences. So then for me it always seemed correct to speak truth, to speak truth to power. And I was always confused why people felt like they couldn't speak truth to power.
These are her words, by the way. Freedom is the core of my existence, and indeed any work platform, and indeed of any work or platform I create. I'll say that again. Freedom is the core of my existence, and indeed of any work platform I create.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're saying, that you were confused about like people who weren't really
Yes.
able to express themselves and be themselves. And,
Completely.
And so even in your
Completely.
art, it had to.
It had to be. Maybe it's also, I'm just thinking about it now, but you know, I'm a middleborn. So middleborn children tend to have to fight for their identity because then there's this expectation with the firstborn, and then there's like kind of the love that is for the baby, and the middle ones are. And I remember saying to my parents when they'd say, "Why can't you be like, you know, my sister Wajiko?" And I'm like, "I'm not Wajiko."
Yeah.
You know, from very early, it's just like I am who I am. And then, you know, the system keeps, you know, so then freedom became really important for me. The freedom to express myself, the freedom to have my own ideas, the freedom to put things out. And because I think it's cool, right? Everything goes into the conversation and makes things better. So when I would find people who impose limitation, I felt the need to be free for me, but also to be free for them. Because I think a lot of times people impose limitation because they just think it's not possible or available. They've just bought into this idea of what is there is all that there can be.
Yeah.
So I feel the burden for freedom for myself, but also for the people who would look to put me in chains, right?
Because in seeing you be and act so free, they feel like they have the permission to be free themselves.
Absolutely.
So you just made an announcement on your Instagram. In fact, you're going to be traveling shortly for this.
Yes.
It has something to do with TED.
It has something to do with TED.
You're just, fellow, no big deal. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah.
Like what it is you're doing with TEDx and
so TED. So I think TED is incredible. The first time I went onto the platform, and you know, ideas worth sharing, ideas that could ignite the world, that can remind people of their dopeness, of higher purpose, of the incredible human potential. So I thought that it was incredible. And I like to talk, I like words. I was like, I know things. It would be dope to be on a platform, on a global platform, to share some ideas. And then my friend, Blinky did it, and then Wanori did it. And when Wanori did it, it was just like, it was such a profound experience, being at TED, being around the people at TED, because it's a really curated space, right?
Right, because it's 20 people.
Yeah, it's 20,
leaders, change makers,
absolutely.
And you get to give a talk.
And I really want to be in that space with thought leaders. It's how I think of myself. And, you know, I want to be in a space where people really enjoy ideas. And then, you know, the network, a global network of people who can back your idea. So then I put it out into the universe. You can't apply to get into TED. TED, you have to be nominated to be in TED, and then you apply. Wow. And then they have to check your references, and then if you check out, then you get in.
Yeah.
So even when they sent it, like, okay, you know, I was like, it's still such a long shot. It's a global platform. It's TED, the real TED.
It's TED. Like the thing that you watch to like motivate you, and you're like, what should I know about the power of manifestation? You go to YouTube and you Google like a TED Talk video.
Yeah.
So I know as we wrap up, I know you've also got a summer tour coming up. You're like just, I don't know, 10 countries. How many countries are you going to again?
So now we have 6.
6 countries.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
So France, Belgium, Netherlands, the UK, Canada, and I'm forgetting the other one. Switzerland, maybe? Switzerland,
okay.
So 6 countries.
Snap. Oh gosh. Just like a TED Talk, a summer tour here. What are you doing with your life? How are you putting Kenya on the map?
No, Sharon, but I have to say, you know, like it's been hard and it's been a long time coming. And I really have to say this. I don't know that any of this would have been possible or available for me if I had been allowed into this space, right? If I had been, I don't know, Anya Shinsky or a Kali who, you know, the space was open for. It's like, yes, you're Kenya, you belong here. Because I didn't belong here, I had to find a way to exist, right? And then now my way to exist allows me to be in multiple spaces. But until the day comes, I'm going to be out here.
You're just going to be like summer tours in Europe. What are you doing? Wow, thank you, Muthoni. And also that you did not dull your light, no matter how many times people are like, "Aye, it's too left. You need to just come back here. This is what we know."
Yeah.
because you know what they say, like you
Yeah.
cannot dull your light so that someone else can start to feel
Yeah.
comfortable
Yeah.
with who you
Yeah.
are. Because ultimately it just shows they're not comfortable with who they are.
Yeah.
So thank you for being free, for
Absolutely.
being fabulous, for being a boss. Okay, we've got to take a break. We'll be right back in a moment.